How have
Mm.
you navigated that, and where do you feel that's brought you in terms of your freedom to travel around the place,
Mm.
to do the things that you love in a brand new way that 20 years ago people would have been like impossible. There's no monetization model for that unless you have a film crew following you around, and that's going to be way too expensive. Bring us
Sure.
into a better understanding of, because I think this is the future. Bring us into a better understanding of what that landscape looks like.
Okay. So since I was a kid, when I was kayaking and just completely obsessed with kayaking, my role models who were winning Olympic medals and world championships, they mostly worked for themselves. And so I was like, okay, well, that's the key. They get to work for themselves. They choose their hours so that they can train 2 or 3 times a day. That's the key to just doing whatever you want. And so I've always been sort of entrepreneurial online. I started off I bought a vinyl cutter to make stickers, like those cool vinyl cut stickers where you like, I don't know if you've ever seen MacBook stickers where people put some kind of design on their MacBook. I was one of the first people like making those at home and shipping them all around the world. And this was just to fund my flights to Cape Town, or to put fuel in my car to go on a road trip. And so I've always been like trying to just discover or keep my eyes out for any opportunities to potentially make money on my terms and in my time. And so freedom for me is like, how much time do I have to spend doing the things that I want to do? And if I can spend some of that time making money doing something I also want to do, then I'm living the freest life ever. So for me, I was like loving making YouTube videos, and that took up a whole bunch of my time. And I don't think there's any way around that kind of volume output. There's no way around like just the sheer amount of hours that you have to put into sitting in front of a laptop. And you got to make like 100 or 200 videos before you really get quite quick with the editing. And even then, when you get quick with the editing, you just put more time into the edit anyway to make the whole thing better. So it's like, it's like what's the priority? Like is it rest time or time in general, or enough money to travel, or because there's no point if freedom to you looks like going and backpacking around Asia on like $10 a day, then you only need to make like $3,000 and put it in the bank to go there for a year plus your airfare. So there's no point in like working for 10 years or getting yourself qualified for a job that is going to mean that you're not going to be able to, that you have to sort of work up a corporate ladder, or spend years building up a client base, or maybe it's like hands-on work where you actually need to be present for it. Right now we're living in I don't think I'm even at all qualified to speak to the latest ways to make money. Like I'm only just starting to investigate the crypto game, and the priority for me is not because I love crypto. It's like, oh, this could be a way for me to make money with less time, and have my money make money, so that ultimately I get more freedom, which is just time to me. I just want time to have the options to do whatever I want. I want to be able to take 3 to 6 months of literally living in an Airbnb cabin and just being in nature and getting otter downloads. That's what freedom looks like to me. So I'm happy to put in the time and sacrifice the time to like find out what is the fastest way for me to do this, but not necessarily even the fastest, but like what's the most rewarding. I don't want to do something that I absolutely hate for like 10 years to then retire early. I'd rather do something that I love for 20 years or 30 years, and that makes me plenty of money, and I get like 3 months to travel per year. Like it's it's a balance. I think it's super unique for everybody. But I think the key piece is that there are new opportunities arriving all over the place, and looking back, it may seem like you were super lucky. But luck, I suppose, is just preparation meeting an opportunity, the preparation putting you in a position where you can actually see the opportunity in the first place and then not see it as an impossibility. You're like, oh, I could actually do that because I've got all this prep. Now, when I started making films on YouTube, I'd already learned how to make films, but just for the fun of it. And so I was like, okay, back then I was still on the British kayaking team as well. So I had a relatively interesting lifestyle, I suppose, and I could make videos. And there's one of my friends, Louis Cole, whose name online was Fun for Louis. And he was one of the original every single day daily vloggers. And one of his secondary channel was called Food for Louis. So it was back in the day when you used to have 2 channels. And the way I always describe the story is he was on the YouTube train and it had left the platform. And I am running along the platform and he's like hanging off the back of the train, like with his arm out, just going, come on. And I jump on and he pulls me onto the YouTube train and we leave everybody behind. I just made it onto that, onto that. And that's my story. And I know that there are people that are starting a YouTube channel today that will probably hit 1 million subscribers in 6 months, just making something that nobody's ever made before, or in a way that nobody's ever made before. There's more people getting onto YouTube every single day to watch content. And so that I was in a position to take that opportunity when it arrived. So I think if there's any kind of advice to be given out of it, it's like, discover what it is that really lights you up. Because yeah, you can make a shitload of money trading, doing stocks and shares and stuff like that, but are you gonna hate it and do it for a year but make enough money to cover you for 10 years or 20 years? Is that worth it to you? Like, what's the payoff? Could you be putting your time and effort into something that maybe seems like a little bit less of a possibility, but is more creative and is actually going to be more fulfilling an endeavor? Or do you just, I think the piece is like, always go inwards and discover yourself, like learn who you are, learn what turns you on, learn what makes you turned on by life, and chase that feeling and discover how you could potentially monetize that without bastardizing it and like throwing it away and then hating it because you've turned it into a career. And if you find yourself in a position where you're taking something that you love and you're trying desperately to monetize it and it's turning out that you're hating it now, find something else to do. I certainly fell out of love with filmmaking, with all of the journey and the roller coaster that I've been on, being I was so attached to the content that I was putting out, and I was so attached to the feedback that I was getting from it. And I feel like now I'm only just starting to fall in love with it again. And what it took was to not have to make money out of it. I'm like, okay, I can make money doing other things. I can continue to fund the freedom that I love so dearly, the freedom to like pretty much live anywhere that I want in the world, the freedom to not have to clock in on a 9 to 5 is like an absolute no-brainer for me. And I've done the 9 to 5s, and there's a lot to be learned there, and there's a lot to be said for like people who are needing to just make money and getting that shit done. But it can't just be a means to an end. It has to be like a jump stone to the next thing. So the commitment there is like, like how much do you want that perceived freedom, and how much do you want to live out the dream life? What does the dream life even look like for you? And you can't really begin to understand what it might look like for you until you put down what other people's dream lives are and sort of close off that noise that tells you this is what you should be dreaming for, this is what you should be after. You got to have the fast cars, you got to have the women, you got to have the yachts and the Gucci shoes with no socks, weird shit. And like, and but in the end you might discover after all of that actually you just want a family and a community of people who really see you for who you are. And you maybe just want to grow your own food. You want to live off grid. You want to be more connected to nature and discover the incredible experience of deepening your ability to be present and just be. Like it's so fundamentally exciting just to exist when you get to that level and you don't need any of that other shit most of the time. And yeah, it's fun, and I don't judge people for how they like to spend their money or the things that turn them on. And certainly, like, I fucking love to drive a fast car, and I probably would drive an Audi R8 if I could afford to have one. And maybe one day I'll have a Tesla, but I've had tastes of all of that throughout my career, all of the glitz and the glam and the first class and being paid to do post Instagrams and all of the things that kids at school are like, that's my dream career. Yeah. I've done all of that. And throughout 95% of it, I was fucking anxious because I was worried about getting the shot, and I was worried about getting the video out on time because I was trying to please my audience, because without a happy audience, none of this would exist. So I was sort of caught in this cycle of dependency and traveling all over the world. But you know, when you're not present for something, when you're anxious, when you're in your head, you're not experiencing the full experience. And so, yeah, my advice to anybody who's like wanting to be a content creator or make YouTube videos or do the travel vlogging, it's not a dead industry at all. It's growing constantly, and to bring your unique essence to it is what is wanted. There are people out there that want to watch you, but they want to watch your authentic reaction to being at this Bali waterfall, not just like the same old thing but with a different person. It's like, how does it make you feel? This is the sort of next wave, I think, of content creation and content creators. Is like deep, authentic vibrations that when someone watches it, they can feel it too. They can feel it in here. And that's the deep motivator to like get off your ass and make your dreams a reality.
Make sure y'all head over to benjosephstewart.com, become a member. You'll have access to the growing library of deeper dives where I talk about all the stuff that I really can't talk about on YouTube. Make sure you get involved in the Discord chat. That's where a lot of the conversation is happening, talking about new theories, being able to interweave into the greater conversation that is how we awaken infinity. That's our highest potential. And I just want to remind you, you are the most powerful technology ever known to creation. Wield it like an artist with a conscience.